The alarm bells rang through the massive halls of the Galactic Council building. Velteron's forearm shook as he read the message on his screen. For 200 years, the barriers around the human solar system had worked perfectly. Now they were gone. How is this possible? Velteron asked the empty room. His voice echoed off the crystal walls. He pressed the emergency button with one of his clawed hands. Within minutes, representatives from 47 different species would gather in the main hall. They would all want answers he did not have. On the other side of the galaxy, Jiwan wiped sweat from her forehead. She stood in a control room filled with computers and strange machines that hummed with energy. Around her, dozens of humans worked at their stations. They had spent 50 years building this moment. "The last barrier is down," said Minho from his position at the main console. His uniform was simple and gray, but the gold stars on his collar showed his high rank. "All ships are ready to leave the solar system." Jiwan nodded and walked to the large window. Outside, she could see hundreds of ships floating in space. They did not look like the ships other species used. These ships were sleek and black, with no visible engines or weapons. They seemed to bend the light around them. "Begin the operation," Jiwan said into her communication device. "It is time to show the galaxy what we have become." Back at the council building, Velteron stood before the gathered representatives. Some looked like giant insects with many eyes. Others were made of living rock that glowed with inner fire. A few appeared to be floating clouds of gas that somehow could speak. All of them looked worried. "The humans have broken free," Velteron announced. The hall fell silent. Even the species that made constant noise stopped their chatter. Dr. Somin, a tall creature with gray skin and no hair, stood up from her seat. She had been the one to first study humans when they were discovered. That should not be possible. The barriers were designed to contain any species for thousands of years. "The barriers are gone," Velteron repeated. "All of them. Our sensors show human ships leaving their solar system right now." A creature that looked like a walking tree with too many branches raised one of its limbs. "How many ships?" "We do not know," Velteron admitted. "Our sensors cannot get clear readings on their technology. But there are many." In space near Earth, Minho sat in the command chair of his flagship. The bridge was quiet except for the soft beeping of computers. His crew worked with calm efficiency. None of them seemed nervous about leaving the only home humanity had known for 2 centuries. "Sir," said Yunsu from the navigation station, "we have confirmed dimensional locks on 12 different star systems." "The fleet is ready to jump," Minho smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Good, let's visit our neighbors. Time to introduce ourselves properly." The human fleet did not use normal space travel. They had learned something during their long isolation that other species thought was impossible. Instead of moving through space, they moved space around them. One moment the ships were near Earth. The next moment they appeared in star systems across the galaxy. On the council world, alarms began ringing again. Velteron ran back to his office, his feet making clicking sounds on the crystal floor. The new message on his screen made his blood turn cold. "Human ships detected in Alpha Centauri system," he read aloud. "Human ships detected in Vega system. Human ships detected in..." The list kept going. 12 different star systems, all at the same time. Dr. Somin appeared in his doorway. Her large black eyes were wide with shock. "They are not using hyperspace lanes," she said. "They are not using any technology we understand." "What are they using?" Velteron asked. "I do not know," Dr. Somin replied. "But they are appearing everywhere at once. That should be impossible." Jiwan watched the reports come in from her control room on Earth. Every human ship had reached its target system safely. More importantly, they had done it without being detected until they arrived. "Phase 1 is complete," reported Hiram from her station. She was young but brilliant, the best scientist humanity had produced. "All ships are in position. The galaxy now knows we exist, and what do they know about us?" Jiwan asked. "Nothing useful," Hiram replied with a grin. "They cannot scan our ships. They cannot understand our technology. To them, we just appeared out of nowhere like magic." In the Kepler system, Captain Taehyun stood on the bridge of his ship as it orbited a mining station. The aliens working there had stopped all activity when his ship appeared. They were sending radio messages in dozens of languages, but Taehyun did not answer yet. "Sir," said his communications officer, "they are asking who we are and what we want." "Tell them we are humans," Taehyun said. "Tell them we are here to talk." The response from the mining station was immediate panic. The alien workers began abandoning their posts and fleeing in small ships. Within an hour, the entire station was empty. Taehyun shook his head. They are afraid of us. They do not even know what we can do, but they are already running. Back on the council world, emergency meetings continued through the night. Representatives argued and shouted in dozens of different languages. Some wanted to attack the human ships immediately. Others wanted to hide and hope the humans would leave them alone. Veltaran tried to maintain order, but it was difficult. Fear made even the most intelligent species act foolishly. We need to understand what we are dealing with, said Dr. Soman during a brief pause in the arguing. We put humans in that quarantine zone because they were too violent and unpredictable. What have 200 years of isolation done to them? Made them worse, said General Krillvox, the council's military commander. He was a large creature covered in thick armor plates. We should have destroyed them when we had the chance. It is too late for that now, Veltaran said. They are already spreading across the galaxy. We need to decide how to respond. As dawn broke over the council world, reports continued to arrive. Human ships were not attacking anyone, but they were not leaving either. They simply appeared in systems, observed for a while, then moved on to new locations. It was like they were mapping the entire galaxy. The most disturbing report came from the border systems. 3 different species had tried to attack human ships with their most powerful weapons. The human ships had not even seemed to notice. The attacks had simply passed through them like they were made of light. Veltaran read this report twice before he believed it. How do you fight an enemy that cannot be touched? Dr. Soman had no answer. For the first time in her long life, she was looking at something completely beyond her understanding. On Earth, G1 prepared for the next phase of the operation. The galaxy now knew humans existed and could travel anywhere they wished. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humans wanted. That conversation would change everything. 3 days after the first human ships appeared, Daeho stepped out of empty air in the middle of the Galactic Council's main assembly hall. He was not there one moment, then he was there the next. No ship, no portal, no warning. He simply existed where nothing had been before. The assembled representatives screamed, roared, and made whatever sounds their species used to express terror. Several of them tried to run. The security systems activated, but their energy weapons passed right through Daeho like he was made of smoke. Good morning, Daeho said in perfect galactic standard. His voice was calm and friendly, like he was greeting old friends. I am here to talk. Veltaran's forearms shook as he stared at the human. Daeho looked ordinary enough. 2 arms, 2 legs, brown hair, dark eyes. He wore simple clothes that were neither threatening nor impressive. But he had just walked through the most secure building in the galaxy like it was not there. How did you get in here? Veltaran managed to ask. I walked, Daeho replied with a smile that did not reach his eyes. Your security is very good against normal people. We are not normal people. Dr. Soman stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. What do you want? To introduce ourselves properly, Daeho said. My people have been locked away for 200 years. We thought it was time to meet our neighbors. General Krillvox pushed through the crowd of representatives. His armor made loud clanking sounds as he moved. You will leave immediately or we will destroy you. Daeho's smile became wider. With what? Before Krillvox could answer, every screen in the building activated at once. They showed star maps of the entire galaxy. Red dots marked human ships, and there were thousands of them. They were everywhere, in every system, around every planet, near every space station. When did they... Veltaran started to ask, but stopped. The humans had been moving faster than anyone could track. We have been busy, Daeho said. 200 years is a long time to prepare. We used it well. Admiral Nari's voice came from the speakers around the room. She was speaking from her flagship somewhere in space. Greetings, Galactic Council. I am Admiral Nari of the Human Exploration Fleet. We have completed our initial survey of local space. Survey? Dr. Soman asked. We mapped every star system within 500 light-years, Nari's voice continued. We counted every planet, every moon, every asteroid. We studied every species, every government, every military force. The data collection is now complete. Veltaran felt sick. You have been watching us. Learning about you, Daeho corrected. We wanted to understand our neighbors before we said hello. On her flagship, Admiral Nari stood before a massive display showing the galaxy. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, processing information from thousands of ships. The humans had not just been exploring, they had been studying everything they found. Captain Wu Jin, Nari said to one of her officers, "Report on the Council military capabilities." Wu Jin looked up from his console. "Their technology is approximately 200 years behind ours, Admiral. Their fastest ships use hyperspace lanes that limit their movement. Their weapons are based on energy projection that we can easily deflect. Their communications are unencrypted and easily monitored. And their defenses? Primitive," Wu Jin replied. "They rely on distance and barriers that we can bypass. Most of their military bases are not even fortified against dimensional incursion." Nari nodded. She had expected this. While humans had been locked away, they had been forced to innovate and adapt. The other species had become comfortable and lazy. Back in the council hall, Daiho was still talking. "We know about your trade routes, your military bases, your secret projects. We know which species are allied and which are enemies. We know everything." "That is impossible," General Krillvok said. "Our communication networks are secured." "Against normal methods," Daiho agreed. "But we developed new methods. Your quantum encryption is quite clever, but it only works if someone plays by the rules you know." Dr. Soman's mind was racing. "What rules do you play by?" "Our own," Daiho said simply. Suddenly, every communication device in the building began receiving messages. The same message was being sent to every government, every military base, every leader in the galaxy. It was from Hiram, the human scientist. "To all species of the galaxy," Hiram's recorded message began, "I am Dr. Hiram of Earth. For 200 years you kept us isolated while you explored the stars. During that time, we learned to do things you thought were impossible." The message continued as images appeared on every screen. They showed human technology in action. Ships that could be in multiple places at once. Machines that bent space and time. Devices that turned energy into matter and matter back into energy. "We learned to fold space like paper," Hiram's voice explained. "We learned to step outside of time when we needed to think. We learned to touch the fundamental forces that hold reality together." General Krillvox was studying the images with growing horror. "This technology, it cannot exist, but it does," Daiho said. "We had 200 years with nothing to do but think and build. We solved problems that your species never even tried to solve." The final part of Hiram's message was the most disturbing. "We discovered that you quarantined many species over the centuries. 47 different civilizations have been locked away in their home systems. We are currently visiting all of them." Veltaran's blood turned to ice. "You are freeing the others?" "We are talking to them," Daiho said. "Just like we are talking to you. Some of them are quite angry about being imprisoned. Others are just curious about what they have missed." Admiral Nari's voice returned to the speakers. "We have established contact with 39 of the quarantined species so far. 8 of them have already joined our exploration fleet. The others are considering our offer." "What offer?" Dr. Soman asked. "Freedom," Daiho said. "The chance to see the galaxy without asking permission from the Council. The opportunity to develop their own technology without restrictions." General Krillvox reached for his weapon, but his hand passed right through it. Somehow Daiho had made his weapon intangible. "How?" "We control the fundamental forces," Daiho explained patiently. "Matter, energy, space, time, they all follow rules. When you understand the rules well enough, you can change them." The implications hit Veltaran all at once. The humans were not just technologically advanced. They had transcended the normal limits of physics. They could make themselves untouchable, appear anywhere, do anything. "What do you want from us?" Veltaran asked. "Nothing," Daiho replied. "We do not need anything from you. Your technology is primitive. Your resources are nothing we cannot create ourselves. Your knowledge is interesting but limited. Then why are you here?" Daiho's smile became almost sad. "Because isolation taught us something important. The galaxy is a big place, and it is better when people can talk to each other freely. You tried to keep us locked away because you were afraid of us. Now we are here to make sure no one else gets locked away because someone else is afraid." The message was clear. The age of the Galactic Council controlling who could travel the stars was over. Humanity had become powerful enough to end the quarantine system forever. "The old rules no longer apply," Daiho said as he began to fade away like smoke. "You can join the new galaxy we are building, or you can watch it happen without you. The choice is yours." When he was gone, the council hall erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate military action. Others wanted to negotiate. A few simply wanted to hide. Velteron stared at the empty space where Deho had been standing. For 200 years, the Council had believed they were protecting the galaxy from dangerous species. Now he wondered if they had simply been creating the very enemies they feared. Captain Junho guided his ship through the Rigel system, with careful attention to his instruments. The New Horizon was on a peaceful survey mission, cataloging planets that might be suitable for future colonies. He had no weapons powered, and was broadcasting friendship messages in 17 different languages. When the Council fleet appeared around him, Junho was genuinely surprised. "This is Admiral Thexmore of the Galactic Council Defense Force," came the transmission. "You are trespassing in restricted space. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Junho looked at his navigation officer with confusion. "Restricted space? Since when is empty space restricted?" Lieutenant Soman checked her star charts. "Sir, there are no warnings about this system in our database. It shows as unclaimed territory." "Council vessel," Junho replied on the open channel. "This is Captain Junho of the human ship New Horizon. We are conducting peaceful exploration. We were not aware of any restrictions in this area." "All space is restricted to humans," Admiral Thexmore responded. "Return to your quarantine zone immediately." Junho laughed before he could stop himself. "Admiral, there is no quarantine zone anymore. Surely your government told you." The response was a full weapons barrage from 12 Council warships. The energy beams and missiles passed harmlessly through the New Horizon like it was made of light. Junho's crew did not even bother to activate their defense systems. The attack was like trying to hurt a ghost with rocks. "Well, that was rude," said Lieutenant Somin. Junho opened the communication channel again. "Admiral Thexmore, we do not wish to fight. We are explorers, not warriors. Please stand down your weapons." "Impossible," came the reply. "No ship can survive that attack." "What are you?" Before Junho could answer, space around the Council fleet began to change. The stars shifted position. The planets in the system moved closer together. Admiral Thexmore's ships found themselves trapped in a gravity well that had not existed moments before. "We are humans," Junho said calmly, "and we really do not like being shot at." The Council ships struggled against the artificial gravity, but their engines were not powerful enough to escape. One by one, their systems began to fail, as the gravitational forces pulled them in different directions. "How are you doing this?" Admiral Thexmore demanded. "The same way we do everything else," Junho replied. "We learned how." On Earth, Yunji paced back and forth in the communication center. As humanity's chief cultural liaison, her job was to prevent exactly the kind of incident that was happening in the Rigel system. She had been trying to establish proper diplomatic channels with the Council, but they kept treating every human contact as an invasion. "Sir," said one of her assistants, "we have another situation. 3 more Council fleets have attacked our survey ships." Yunji stopped pacing and rubbed her temples. "Casualties?" "None on our side. The Council ships are all trapped or disabled. Our captains are asking for instructions." "Tell them to let the Council ships go," Yunji said, "and keep broadcasting our peaceful intentions." "Ma'am, with respect, they are not listening to our peaceful intentions." Yunji sighed. The problem was that humans in the Council had completely different ideas about what was happening. Humans saw themselves as finally being free to explore the galaxy. The Council saw it as an invasion by dangerous primitives. In his command center on the fortress world of Kepler Station, General Taehyun studied the reports from across the galaxy. 63 separate encounters between human ships and Council forces. In every case, the Council had attacked first. In every case, the human ships had defended themselves without causing serious harm to their attackers. "They think we are invading," said his aide. "Commander Minsu." "We are exploring," Taehyun corrected. "There is a difference." "They do not see a difference." Taehyun nodded. This was the problem with being locked away for 200 years. The two sides had developed completely different ways of thinking about the galaxy. "Sir," said Lieutenant Jinhee from the intelligence station, "Admiral Nari is requesting permission to demonstrate our defensive capabilities." "What kind of demonstration?" "She wants to show them what would happen if we actually fought back." Taehyun considered this carefully. So far, humans had been patient with the Council attacks. They had defended themselves without seriously harming anyone. But patience had limits, approved, Taehyun said. But minimal casualties. We want to make a point, not start a war. In the Kepler 442 system, Admiral Nari received her orders with a grim smile. Her fleet of 12 ships faced a council armada of over 200 vessels. It was the largest military force the council had ever assembled. "This is your final warning," came the transmission from the council fleet commander. "Surrender or face total destruction." "This is Admiral Nari," she replied. "I have been ordered to demonstrate our defensive capabilities. Please observe carefully." Nari gave a simple hand signal to her bridge crew. Around her flagship, space began to bend and twist. The other human ships faded from normal view as they shifted into dimensional pockets that existed between the folds of reality. The council fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of energy beams and missiles filled the space where the human ships had been. The weapons hit nothing but empty space and distant stars. Then the counterattack began. One by one, the council ships found themselves pulled into artificial gravity wells. Not strong enough to crush them, but powerful enough to disable their engines and weapons. Within minutes, the entire armada was helpless. "How?" the council commander asked over the open channel. "We learned to reshape space itself," Admiral Nari explained. "Your ships exist in normal space-time. Ours can step outside it when we choose. You cannot fight what you cannot touch." But the real demonstration was still coming. At the center of the council formation, a new star began to form. It started as a point of light, then grew brighter and larger. The council ships detected massive gravitational forces and radiation levels that should have been impossible. "That is an artificial black hole," Admiral Nari announced. "We can create them anywhere we choose. We can make them any size we want. We can make them disappear just as easily." The black hole vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. The council ships were left floating in normal space, completely unharmed, but thoroughly terrified. "We do not want to fight you," Admiral Nari continued. "We want to explore the galaxy in peace. But if you keep attacking our ships, we will defend ourselves more seriously next time." The council fleet retreated without another word. Back on the council world, emergency sessions continued around the clock. Representatives argued about how to respond to a threat they did not understand. "They can create black holes," Dr. Soman reported to the assembled delegates. "They can make their ships untouchable. They can appear anywhere without warning. How do we fight beings that can reshape reality?" "We cannot," said Veltaran quietly. "We can only hope they do not decide we are their enemies." General Krillvok slammed his armored fist on the table. "Then we surrender? Give up everything we have built?" "We adapt," Veltaran replied. "We learn to live in a galaxy where humans make the rules instead of us." Meanwhile, Yunji finally received the message she had been hoping for. A council diplomat named Morduin wanted to meet for peace talks. It was a small step, but it was a beginning. "Schedule the meeting," she told her assistant. "And make sure our people know, no weapons, no threats, no demonstrations of power. We want them to see us as friends, not conquerors." "What if they attack the diplomatic ship?" Yunji smiled sadly. "Then they will learn that there is a difference between our patience and our capabilities. But I hope it does not come to that." In space stations and government buildings across the galaxy, the same realization was spreading. The age of council dominance was over. A new power had emerged from the quarantine zones, and this power could not be fought with conventional means. The question now was whether the galaxy could adapt to its new reality, or whether fear would drive them to make the humans into the very enemies they were so afraid of becoming. The neutral space station floating between the human and council territories was unlike anything ever built before. Humans had constructed it in 3 days using matter conversion technology that turned empty space into solid metal and crystal. It was beautiful and impossible, just like everything else humans seemed to create. Ambassador Yuna walked through the corridors with calm confidence. Her simple blue uniform bore no weapons, no armor, no signs of military rank. She looked like a teacher or a scientist, not a representative of the most powerful force in the galaxy. Behind her walked Seokjin, a quiet man with thoughtful eyes who served as humanity's chief philosopher. He carried only a small bag containing books and data tablets. The council representatives had expected soldiers and weapons. Instead, they got scholars. In the main conference room, Chief Arbitrator Morduin waited with growing nervousness. He was the council's most experienced diplomat, but he had never negotiated with beings who could reshape reality. His 6 arms fidgeted with the ceremonial objects on the table. Ambassador Yuna, Morduin said as she entered the room. Thank you for agreeing to these talks. Thank you for asking, Yuna replied with a genuine smile. We have been hoping to have this conversation for months. Morduin's translator struggled with her tone. Humans spoke with subtle meanings that were difficult for other species to understand. Was she being polite or threatening? Friendly or sarcastic? Let us begin with the obvious question, Morduin said. What do humans want? To explore, Yuna replied immediately. To learn. To build new things. To meet new people. The same things any intelligent species wants. But you are expanding into every system in the galaxy. We are exploring. Yuna corrected gently. There is a difference. We have established colonies on 47 worlds, but they were all uninhabited. We have built stations in busy systems, but only to facilitate trade and communication. We have not taken anything that belonged to someone else. Morduin checked his notes. The intelligence reports confirmed what she was saying, but it was still hard to believe. Your ships appear everywhere. Your technology seems unlimited. How do we know you will not simply take what you want? Seokjin spoke for the first time. Because taking things by force is inefficient. It is easier to create what you need than to steal it from others. Create it how? Dr. Hyun entered the room at that moment carrying a simple metal box. She was young and enthusiastic. The kind of scientist who loved to explain her work to anyone who would listen. May I demonstrate? She asked Morduin. The arbitrator nodded nervously. Dr. Hyun opened the box and pulled out what looked like an empty glass container. She set it on the table and pressed a small button on its side. Immediately the container began to fill with something that looked like liquid gold. Raw matter, Dr. Hyun explained. Created from the quantum foam that exists in empty space, we learned to reach down to the fundamental level of reality and pull energy up into the physical world. The golden liquid solidified into a perfect crystal sculpture of a flower. Then it changed again, becoming a small electronic device that began displaying star charts. Then it became food, actual edible fruit that smelled delicious. We can make anything we need, Dr. Hyun continued. Metals, crystals, food, medicine, even complex machines. Why would we need to take these things from others when we can create them ourselves? Morduin stared at the fruit. This is impossible. It was impossible, Seokjin said quietly. Then we learned how to make it possible. That is what isolation taught us. There is no such thing as impossible, only things we have not figured out yet. Ambassador Yuna pulled out a data tablet and placed it on the table. We want to show you something. This is what humanity accomplished during our quarantine. The tablet projected a holographic display showing the solar system, but it was not the solar system the Council remembered. Mars was green and blue with oceans and forests. Venus had a breathable atmosphere and floating cities in its clouds. Even tiny Mercury had domed settlements where humans thrived in the extreme heat. You terraformed dead worlds? Morduin asked. We had nothing else to do, Yuna replied with a shrug. We were locked in one system with limited resources. We either learned to create new resources or we died. So we learned. The display changed to show massive space stations orbiting the sun. Each one was the size of a moon, covered with parks and cities and factories that gleamed in the sunlight. We built our population up to 50 billion people, Dr. Hyun said, all living comfortably with unlimited energy and resources. We solved hunger, disease, aging, and scarcity. We had to. We had nowhere else to go. Seokjin touched the tablet and the display changed again. Now it showed humans working together on impossible projects. Building rings around planets, creating artificial suns, reshaping asteroids into gardens. Isolation taught us something important, Seokjin said. When you cannot escape your problems, you must solve them. When you cannot get more resources, you must use what you have more efficiently. When you cannot expand outward, you must grow inward. What does that mean? Morduin asked. We learned to think differently, Yuna explained. Other species spread across the galaxy and took what they needed from different worlds. We were forced to find everything we needed in one small system. It made us very good at solving problems. Dr. Hyun activated another device from her box. Suddenly, the entire room filled with floating displays showing human technology in action. Ships that could exist in multiple dimensions at once. Machines that turned thought into physical objects. Computers that processed information faster than light. We solved faster-than-light communication by learning to send messages through folded space, Dr. Hyun said excitedly. We solved energy problems by tapping directly into the quantum field that underlies reality. We solved transportation by learning to step outside normal space-time. And now you are sharing this technology with other quarantined species, Morduin said. It was not a question. Of course, Una replied. They were locked away just like we were. Many of them have developed amazing things during their isolation. The Velkari learned to grow living ships that repair themselves. The Zoth figured out how to think as a collective consciousness across multiple bodies. The Rin created art that exists in 11 dimensions. Morduin's mind reeled. How many species are you liberating? All of them, Seokjin said simply. Every species the Council ever quarantined is being contacted and offered the chance to join the larger galaxy again. Most of them are very interested. And if we try to stop you, Yuna's expression became sad but determined. Then you will fail. We do not want to fight you, but we will not let you lock away entire civilizations because you are afraid of them. The final revelation came when Dr. Heun pulled out her last device. It looked like a simple crystal sphere, but when she activated it, the room filled with voices speaking in dozens of languages. What is that? Morduin asked. Real-time communication with all 47 species we have contacted, Dr. Heun replied. They are sharing their discoveries with each other and with us. The melody developed music that can heal injuries. The Kree learned to grow food that tastes like anything you want it to taste like. The Finn created mathematics that describe realities we never knew existed. It is a renaissance, Seokjin said. All these species locked away and forced to innovate, suddenly working together. The combined knowledge is incredible. Ambassador Yuna stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. In the distance, ships from dozens of different species were working together to build something that looked like a city made of light. The galaxy is changing, she said quietly. The old system of the Council controlling everything is ending. Not because we are destroying it, but because it is no longer needed. What do you mean? Morduin asked. When everyone can create what they need, there is no reason to fight over resources, Yuna explained. When everyone can travel anywhere they want, there is no reason to control territory. When everyone can communicate instantly across any distance, there is no reason for centralized government. Seokjin joined her at the window. We are not conquering the galaxy. We are making conquest obsolete. Morduin looked out at the impossible city being built in space and realized that everything he had known about how the galaxy worked was about to change forever. 1 year later, Director Jinwoo stood on the observation deck of the new Geneva station and watched the most impossible sight in galactic history. Ships from 63 different species worked together to construct a Dyson sphere around the star Proxima Centauri. What should have taken centuries was being completed in months. The energy collection arrays are ahead of schedule, reported Captain Soyeon from her position at the Central Command Station. Her crew included beings from 12 different species, all working with the kind of efficiency that came from shared knowledge and common goals. Jinwoo nodded as he watched a Velkari bioship stretch itself into a living solar panel while human matter converters shaped raw energy into solid construction materials. Nearby, a Zoth collective consciousness controlled 1,000 construction drones with perfect coordination, while Rin artists added beauty to every functional component. 6 months ago, most of these species had never met each other, said former council speaker Velterin, who now served as a cultural liaison in the new government. Now they are building wonders together. It was true. The Galactic Cooperation Initiative that Jinwoo had established was nothing like the old council system. Instead of representatives voting on what other people could do, it was a network of specialists sharing knowledge and resources freely. Director, called engineer Wu Jin from his workstation, the Melody have finished their harmonic resonance project. They can now heal damaged matter using sound waves. Excellent, Jinwoo replied. Share the technology with everyone who wants it. That was how everything worked now. When someone discovered something useful, they shared it immediately with anyone who could benefit. The old ideas of keeping secrets or maintaining advantages had become pointless when everyone could create whatever they needed. Captain Soyeon looked up from her console with excitement. Sir, we just received a transmission from the Deep Explorer fleet. They have made contact with 3 previously unknown civilizations in the Andromeda Galaxy. Peaceful contact? Jinwoo asked. They sent a combined greeting party, Soyeon replied. Humans handled the initial approach. Velkari provided biocompatible gifts, and the Rin created beautiful art as a friendship offering. All three new species seem very interested in joining our exploration efforts. Jinwoo smiled. That was how humanity had learned to explore, not as conquerors but as a coalition of curious minds. When 63 different species worked together, they could solve problems that had never been solved before. In his research facility on the edge of the galaxy, engineer Wu Jin put the finishing touches on his latest project. The facility itself was a marvel, a space station that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously, allowing for experiments that would be impossible in normal space. "Professor," said his assistant, a young Kree scientist named Zilandra, "the dimensional anchor is stable. We can begin the test." Wu Jin activated the device they had been building for 6 months. It was a communication array that could send messages not just across space but across time. The theory came from human physics, the materials came from melody harmonic crystals, and the power source was a Zoth collective consciousness that could think in temporal loops. "This is a message from the past," Wu Jin said into the communicator. "If you are receiving this, it means we succeeded in creating stable temporal communication channels." Immediately, a response came back. "This is the future. Yes, you succeeded. Also, you might want to check the 3rd moon of the system you are in. There is something interesting there." Wu Jin and Zilandra looked at each other in amazement. They had just proven that time was not a barrier to communication, only another dimension to be navigated. On Earth, Dr. Heun walked through the memorial garden that had been built where the old quarantine barriers used to be. The garden was beautiful beyond description. Living art created by 63 different species working together to honor the past while celebrating the future. Each section of the garden represented one of the quarantined species and showed what they had accomplished during their isolation. The human section displayed the first matter converter ever built, surrounded by flowers that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "It is ironic," said her companion, the philosopher Seokjin. "The council thought they were protecting the galaxy from dangerous species. Instead, they created the most innovative civilizations in galactic history. Fear often creates what it is trying to prevent," Dr. Heun agreed. "They were afraid of chaos and unpredictability, so they locked away everyone who thought differently. But different thinking is what creates new solutions." They stopped at the center of the garden, where a simple monument bore the names of all the species that had been quarantined. Above the names, words appeared in every known language, from isolation, innovation, from limitation, liberation, from fear, understanding. "The galaxy is completely different now," Seokjin observed. "No central government, no restricted zones, no forbidden knowledge. Everyone can go anywhere and learn anything. And it works," Dr. Heun said with wonder. "Better than anyone thought it could. Crime rates have dropped to almost 0 because no one needs to steal what they can create. Wars have ended because there is nothing worth fighting over when resources are unlimited. Even conflicts between species have become rare because everyone benefits from cooperation." Meanwhile, in the far reaches of space, exploration fleets continued to push the boundaries of the known galaxy. Captain Soyeon's ship was part of a massive expedition that included representatives from every known species. "New star system detected," reported her navigation officer, a human named Jisoo. 7 planets, 3 of them showing signs of intelligent life. "Prepare the standard first contact package," Soyeon ordered. "Peaceful approach, universal translators active, gift bundles ready." The standard first contact procedure had been developed through trial and error over the past year. Humans made the initial approach because they were good at adapting to new situations. Felkari provided biological gifts that could help with any medical needs. Melody offered music that could calm fears and promote understanding. Zoth collectives shared knowledge about cooperative thinking. Each species contributed what they did best. "Captain," said the communications officer, a Rin named 3 Colors of Dawn, "we are receiving a response. They seem curious but cautious." "Good," Soyeon replied. "Caution is wise when meeting strangers. Let them know we come in peace and have much to share." Back on the New Geneva station, Director Jinwoo received the daily reports from across the galaxy. They were all good news. Food production was up. Energy was unlimited. New technologies were being developed faster than they could be cataloged. Art and music and literature were flourishing as different species shared their creative traditions. "Sir," said his aide, "we have completed the integration of the Council territories into the Cooperation Initiative. Former General Krillvox has requested permission to join the exploration fleets." Jinwoo raised an eyebrow. The general who wanted to destroy humanity? He says that fighting an unstoppable enemy taught him that exploration is more interesting than conquest. Approved, Jinwoo said. Anyone who wants to explore is welcome. That evening, Jinwoo stood again on the observation deck and watched the completion of the Dyson sphere. It was beautiful and functional, a perfect example of what different species could accomplish when they worked together instead of against each other. Velteran joined him at the window. The former council speaker had adapted well to the new galaxy, becoming one of the most effective ambassadors between species. Do you ever regret what happened? Velteran asked. The end of the council, the change in everything. Jinwoo considered the question carefully. The council served its purpose for a time. It brought stability when the galaxy needed it. But stability can become stagnation if it lasts too long. And now we have something better, Jinwoo said. Not stability, but adaptability. Not control, but cooperation. Not rules about what cannot be done, but excitement about what might be possible. Outside the window, ships from dozens of species continued their work. Some were exploring new star systems. Others were building impossible structures. A few were conducting experiments that would have been forbidden under the old system. The quarantine zones are gone, Jinwoo said quietly. But more importantly, the fear that created them is gone too. We learned that different does not mean dangerous. It just means interesting. As if to prove his point, a message arrived from the Deep Explorer fleet. They had discovered a species that existed as living mathematics, thinking in equations and building with pure logic. Instead of being afraid, the exploration fleet was excited to learn how mathematical beings understood the universe. The galaxy is bigger than we thought, Veltaran observed. And more wonderful, Jinwoo agreed. Every day we discover something new about what is possible. Every species we meet teaches us something we never knew. Every problem we solve together makes us all stronger. The Dyson sphere was completed as they watched, beginning to collect the full energy output of an entire star. The energy would be shared freely with anyone who needed it, powering projects that would have been impossible under the old system. What comes next? Velteran asked. Jinwoo smiled as he watched a new fleet of exploration ships,